So when you read this or you got the idea, or somebody sent you the script for this film, what was it that kind of drew you to it that was different from? I'm sure you get all these scripts all the time. What was it that kind of stood out that this one was more interesting than the other ones?
It was. I mean, I read 8 pages of the script and I knew I was making this film. And it was because it started out, it was very conventional. Okay, here's somebody in high school gets a superpower, and then suddenly he's robbing banks with it. And I was like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. And I was like, but why wouldn't he rob banks? And why do all these other superheroes decide they're going to save the world when they get a superpower? It was like, why wouldn't they just continue doing what they're doing? Right? Because they weren't saving the world before. It wasn't like Mother Teresa got a superpower. Right? Like any of these things, they're like usually trying to pick up some girl in high school and they get a superpower. Like, why wouldn't they then be trying to like pick up women all over the planet? And obviously I ended up adding that to the movie. I basically kept the first 8 pages of the script because the first 8 pages I said, I'm making this movie because this character suddenly made all those other superhero films feel really stale and old-fashioned. This felt really contemporary to me. Then, like almost every other film I've done, I threw the whole script out, started over from scratch, and said, I really want to pursue this character. And really went for it. I mean, what starts out very conventional in the first 5 minutes, 10 minutes into the movie, Hayden Christensen's robbing banks and picking up and disposing of women like all over the globe, and you're like, all right, that's a character I want to follow. I mean, it's not your traditional superhero. In fact, this genre doesn't even have a name, right? Because the genre is called the superhero film, which isn't what this film is. This is somebody who has a superpower. So you can already sort of get why this felt so fresh to me, because it doesn't even fit into like a niche.
How do you find, when you were casting this film then, what was it about the actors that you ended up with that were very contemporary, that fit the way you wanted to tell this story? What was it about Hayden and Rachel and Jamie that kind of brought, I don't know.
You know what I love about Hayden is there's stuff that's going on behind the eyes and you can't quite be sure. Like, I kind of played it safe on Born Identity because Matt Damon has sort of an inherent sweetness. So I was like, okay, I can make him really dark and you'll kind of know that he's ultimately the good guy. I kind of wimped out a little bit on Born. And, as much as Matt tries to seem like he's the tough guy, it doesn't quite go there for me. And I really wanted to explore on Jumper, something I started exploring with Born, which is, maybe you're following the wrong guy. Maybe he's not the good guy at the end of the day. And Hayden just has, there's no one sweeter off the set than Hayden Christensen. And I've worked with a lot of really nice people, including Jamie Bell, who's about as great an actor and guy as you're going to come across. But and same thing with Rachel. But there's something that goes on behind Hayden's eyes when he's in front of the camera, and I saw it in Shattered Glass, and that's the film that I cast him from. I was like, you can't quite be, this guy there may be more going on there. And I was like, that texture was what I fell in love with for Hayden for this film.
You have a really good history with working with younger actors. Go is one of my all-time favorite films.
Thank you.
What is it about working with young talent that is interesting for you as a director? And is it something that, I don't know, do you look forward to working with more developing young talent and kind of making them
first of all, I like to create new characters. I mean, there's some actors who I love, like Harrison Ford, but he's the same guy in every movie. And Nick Cage is kind of the same guy in those sort of bigger budget movies. So it's not that I necessarily want to work with newer talent, although then you really get to develop a character from scratch. But it's that I want to develop memorable characters that are really specific. So even, if you look at Mr. and Mrs. Smith, those are, some pretty big actors that I had in that movie, but Angelina Jolie's character doesn't feel like anything else she's played, and Brad Pitt's character feels a little bit like other characters he's played, but not as much as, I'm more proud of sort of what we created with Angie. That's really what I'm trying to do all the time with my movies, and so obviously to work with, it just makes me very open to, I'm not somebody who's like, oh, I want this actor who I know plays this kind of role, and you just sort of stick him in this. You're like, okay, I'll get Keanu Reeves to be in Jumper, and you know exactly what it's going to look like because Keanu plays a certain role. But so I think it's not that I like working with newer talent. It's just that because I want to create a new character, I'm open to, I don't really care if they're a movie star or not a movie star. I want the right actor.
Definitely interesting to watch. Then thank you very much. It's
Thank
really
you
cool
very
talking
much.
to you. Thank you.